possibly then the most prepared guest that we've ever had. If you've got them all written out, that is.
It was a lot of FAQ skimming for one of them, just to prove my point.
Right. Oh, look forward to that one then.
Good.
That'll be interesting to try and fight again. I'm so disappointed. I've literally the last few weeks been sat here like, this is what we're going to do on the podcast next week, and then I go, unless the FAQ comes out, like, and and then we get round and it gets past Thursday, and I go, well, there's no FAQ yet, so I guess we'll have to come up with something for next week, and then it rolls on and it rolls on. Like,
do you think they're doing it to troll you?
I think maybe they're just like after me. That's it. It's I've at some point I've upset GW. Well, actually, we did do an entire episode about what that they sell is worth money and what is not worth the money. So maybe they are doing it to get back at us.
Well, if they nerf Lizardmen, you know they're after you, Chris.
Yes, that'll be it. If they suddenly give all the Saurus Loner or take Stunty off the Skinks, then I'll know that they're after me.
Maybe they're subtly doing it by infiltrating rule sets. So obviously the Eurobowl rule set has a cap on number of repeated skills. So perhaps, and that's going to be widely played over the next year in other tournaments. So maybe they under the radar trolling you. That's like next level stuff.
I'm now getting too tempted to say something anti-GW, and I'm not going to do it. We'll play the intro. Let's get to it. Here we go. Play the intro. There we go. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to New Dice Please, the bite-sized Blood Bowl podcast brought to you by the people at Blood Bowl Live. My name is Chris, and I'm joined not by Mr. Scott Bryant, but as always by Mr. Tom Hovell. Tom, chocolate bar of choice.
Oh, crunchy.
Good choice. Good choice. And as I said, we have no Scott Bryant this week, but we are honoured to be joined by NAF and Blood Bowl royalty. We have got, you will recognise his voice from the Blood Bowl Tavern podcast. You will recognise him at tournaments. You'll recognise him from the Southeast tournament series and many other places. Absolutely honoured to be joined by Stewbacca himself, Mr. Stewart Anderson. Stewart, chocolate bar of choice.
I can't eat many chocolate bars. I had to give up dairy a while ago. So anything that's dairy free, which is not many. So
I'll spread out to maybe like Haribo's and things and fruit pastilles. Anything there?
No. Let's stick with chocolate. Pre-giving up dairy, I had a chocolate bar that I once saw a comedian do an entire sketch about how it was no one's favorite chocolate bar, but it was my favorite chocolate bar, which is a Twix.
I see. I like a Twix.
It's just, I guess, no one else sees it as, good enough to make their favorite. But I like the combination of the biscuit and the chocolate and the caramel. It just works, and it's nice size. You can share it with someone if there's someone you're trying to impress, or someone who looks like they're really hungry, or if you've got a child who tries to steal everything from you, like mine does. You get to keep one. So there's a lot of upsides to a Twix.
That's a very good shout. Mine changes quite often. It used to be Star Bars, but I think I'm going to go for a Lion Bar. Again, probably not many people's favorite, but there's a very particular Mitchell and Webb sketch where there's a theatre troupe who are getting paid in Lion Bars. One of my favorite sketches, and someone comes up and says, "Oh, you got to make it raw," and that's the first time I realized if you snap it the right way and it's warm enough, then it roars like a lion when you snap the lion.
Wow, I'm gonna have to buy one and just try that.
So you're gonna have to, yeah. Everyone go out and buy Lion Bars. Anyway, we're not going to talk about Lion Bars.
Have you got shares in Lion Bars?
We're not sponsored by them, are we?
Absolutely. This week's episode will be hot takes featuring Stewbacca, sponsored by Lion Bar. That's what the episode will be called. We're not going to talk about Lion Bars. We've got a guest in the green box in the bottom corner, which means only one thing. It means we are going through hot takes graphic explosion. We're going to go through 3 hot takes brought by our guest, and me and Tom will discuss them. And if it's like every other time we've done this, we're probably going to sit and agree with you solidly for half an hour. But we will see what you come up with. I'm really intrigued to see what you bring.
Okay,
'cause I think
don't feel like you need to.
well, I think of all the people that I think we've had on, I think you probably have the most like the most Blood Bowl experience. So I feel like we could end up completely out of our league. Well, but we'll see. What Stuart? What is your
don't
first?
worry. I've not gone too in depth, and they get sillier as they go along. So my first one, Goblins are the best team in the game.
Oh no!
And I have a thesis to prove this.
Oh no! Okay, right, we're off to a fantastic.
So I've got evidence. There's
I'm just going to say right now, this one, I don't think I'm going to agree with you, but let's hear it. Okay, here we go.
Okay, you don't need to. So everyone has been complaining about swarming on Underworld for 3.5 years, and then it finally got nerfed. In that same time period, Goblins have had a throw teammate nerf, sneaky get nerf, chainsaw turnover nerf, removing mighty blow from bombs, bomber drivel start, hack phlegm, and creek all being made megastars, thus getting rid of 3 of their best star players. A turnover if the bomber fumbles, removal of guard assist on fouling, nerfing one of the few good primary skills on trolls, an amendment to Iron Hard Skin, thus nerfing chainsaws and fouling, ball and chain not getting mighty blow if it's hitting a player on the floor, and you can't spend your treasury on bribes if you're the underdog. I rest my case. If they weren't good, why would they be getting nerfed so much?
So is your argument here that they are clearly so good that even after all of that, GW have to continue to nerf them?
Yes, because they're too good.
I mean,
everyone is just playing them wrong. Clearly.
Okay.
Is it also the fact that they're just too much fun? Is that the problem?
Possibly.
Are we saying that Games Workshop don't want us to have fun?
It could be. I mean, what better way to get you to spend money on their product by stopping you having fun?
Just another
seems,
nail in the GW coffin here. Okay, right.
Yeah.
So let's break this down then. Okay, so what then? I don't think if you undo all of those things, where did Goblins sit before all of these nerfs? Like
bottom of the so currently the overall win rate is about 35% in tournament play, something around that mark, and it probably wasn't much higher. Let's say 40% tops, right? So stunty teams aren't supposed to be winning half the time. They're supposed to be difficult to play and difficult to do. So who knows why Games Workshop have got it in for them? Quite a lot of it is probably being hit in the crossfire of Underworld being too good, and trying to get rid of stuff that helps Underworld. But by doing so, that they've hit Goblins a lot, and I think they're even more fun to play now because of this. They feel much more like an underdog team, even more, and it's just fun to play them. They're like if you can't. So one of my friends, there's a player down in Kent called Mini Morg. You may have heard of. So so he's 13, 14-ish. And one of my friends who was getting a bit jaded in the game watched him play, and he's like, he plays like a kid, just having fun playing a board game. It's amazing. And that's what he's supposed to be doing, and Goblins give you that. So I'm very much not averse to being a try hard. I try probably too hard. I'm very competitive, and I think Goblins and the other Sunny teams, but especially Goblins, because they're just super silly, give you a chance to embrace that and get back to what you should be enjoying about the game.
Okay. They're also, I think, I've just done a quick calculation on the back of Blood Bowl packet. Probably one of the most expensive teams to buy, aren't they? Because I've just quickly looked on. So the base team is £33, and that just gives you linemen. Okay?
Yeah, like 12 linemen, something
12,
like that.
Yeah, 12 linemen. You then got to spend another £20.50 for a troll. You've then got to spend another £28 if you want to go down like the kilocopter contractions things. So, and then you've got to spend another, what was it? Another £28.50 for the secret weapons, and that comes to £110.50.
Did you just factor in one troll or two?
Oh, yeah. Add in another troll. So yeah.
You can get around it by using the goblins from the Black Orc team if you've got the box set.
There's £131 for a team.
It's a lot of money, and then you want star players on top of that as well.
Yes, yeah.
I think the thing is, the minute this hot take came out of your mouth, I suddenly doubted everything that I thought I knew about Blood Bowl. But somehow you've brought me round here, because I'm now thinking that actually you're right. It may be like they may be the best team in the game, in the sense that they should be by this point the team that reminds you why you should be playing, to have fun and to just go and do some stuff, and you can still try and play them quite seriously, and you can still do all the basics of Blood Bowl and all of that, but it probably is the team that you're gonna have the most fun with, just having a good time. And maybe that is right. Maybe that does make them the best team. And that somehow, for some reason, that hurts to say. I don't know why.
It does depend on your definition of best, right? So obviously they're not the best in that they're going to win tournaments. They have done at times, but obviously not often, because they win 35% of the time. But there's a lot of other good things about them, and yeah, I love them. I played a season with them last year. I spent ages deliberating what to play, and just thought I'll just try them, and it was great fun. If you get a result, even a draw, you feel like you've won the league.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, and with your knowledge on it, what is your ultimate goblin setup?
That is a good question. So the Doom Diver is not worth the money now. Oh, the Doom Diver got nerfed as well, but that might be in the 2020 update. So where they made Swoop a D3. But yeah, so the Doom Diver isn't worth the money, and you want to make sure you're not taking too many secret weapons, because you don't want them to get sent off, right? So a whole bunch of goblins and 2 trolls is obviously needed. And then it's sort of dependent on what you want to lean into. The hooligan is a must, right? So a player that starts with Dirty Player, you have to have him. The chainsaw is usually quite good fun. I guess it depends if you know what you're going to be coming up against, right? If you're going to come up against a lot of orcs and lizards and armor 10 teams, chainsaw is just give it a go, see what happens, see if you can slice them up. Ball and chain can be quite a letdown. It can take itself off the pitch really quickly, because if it falls over, it's knocked out. So that and the pogo is probably a must as well, just because of the movement. The extra swerve movement is just so good. So I'd probably, if I started the league again now, I'd probably start with a pogo, hooligan, bunch of goblins and 2 trolls. So not have any of the weapons.
Okay.
Which is just because you can lose a lot of players quite quickly if you're up against a good bash team. And even though I've just espoused for however many minutes about how good they are, if you have 1 goblin and 1 troll, it becomes not fun anymore. Even though all you'll do is just throw that goblin with the troll at the other team until they or it dies. It can become frustrating, especially if you're used to being competitive. So a lot of players the sneaky get for fouling, Tiger for the ball handling, 2 trolls for hitting, throwing, and puking up on war dances. And that's, I think, what I would start with. Going to a tournament, you want 1 or 2 of the weapons because it's way more fun. But in the league, I think I'd start with that if I started again.
Nice.
I don't think I'm not sold enough to want to play goblins, but you have brought me round to their benefit. That's very very strong start. Very strong start. What is let's move on. What is hot take number 2?
Okay, number 2. Hold on 1 second. Let me consult my Cephas. Slann, get rid of them. They should be deleted.
Oh, okay. Okay, so a team that I'm not 100% familiar with, but
Okay,
I have
that's
wanted.
one of the reasons.
I think I think the only reason that I have ever wanted Slan to become a official team is that I want a team entirely made up of Kermit the Frogs, and I will try to felt them if I can, and that is the only reason. So why?
I mean,
why should
I'm
Slan
sold.
go?
I'm sold on the Kermit. I love the Muppets. I'm looking forward to watching Muppets Christmas Carol in a couple of weeks' time. So they've never been an official Games Workshop team. They were in Blood Bowl 2 as Kislev, and the NAF keeps them alive. It comes up literally every year in the annual review, and people don't want to get rid of them. But it's the only place where the NAF sort of diverge from Games Workshop rules now. So there's a thing about playing the rules as Games Workshop have written them. Obviously, you can add in craziness here and there and stuff, but the core rules have to remain the same. Such that it used to be they recommended banning leader in 7s, but you can't do that now because it's within the newly published Death Zone. Recently, in the grand scheme of the whole world timeline, recent waffle. Yeah, you have to stick with what Games Workshop publishes as the core rules, but they don't do that with Slan. And it's the only exception. And so I think having one exception is a bad thing in general. It's not fair on people who are less experienced, such as yourself, right? So you've not got much experience with Slan.
Never played against them.
Yeah. So a good player comes down, says, right, I'm playing Slan. And you're like, I have no idea how to deal with this, right? And they'll walk over. If they're a competent player, they should just walk over you, beat you 5-0, something like that, right? And I don't think that is fair because it's not in the rule book. A new player will turn up and just go get gazumped, basically, right? I'm not against the team being there, but I'm against it in its current incarnation. So if Games Workshop bring out a Slan team or a Kislev's team or even like a Slanesh team, which is effectively the same rule set, fine. But I don't like them being in the game when they're not in a rule book anywhere.
See, I think I do get that because it's because even if you haven't played, I'm trying to think of another I haven't played. Trying to think of teams within the main rulebook that I haven't played against very often. I've not played many games against Shambling Undead. I don't think I've ever played. Struggling to think of other ones that I've really never played against. Not played many games against Chaos Dwarfs, only a couple, and only recently because they've come into the book. But I think you've got a good point there that you can't any of those teams, any of the teams that are in the main rulebook, if I've never played against them, I can just open the main rulebook and have a little look. I don't need to go digging somewhere to find a rule set. It's not readily available. And if I wanted to take it with me, I'd need to print it off or something. It's not all contained together. Tom, have you had much kind of experience against Slan?
I played them once, and to kind of pick up on that point, it does slow down the game as well. regardless of whether it's league or tournament, if you're just playing a game, it slows it down because you're like, oh, and what does that one do now? And what does this one do again? And that kind of thing. And just, they also don't have very common skills on them. So they've got pogo stick and very long legs, diving catch, diving tackle, and they've got a croxigal as well, according to the latest kind of setup. So yeah, you're quite right that they're a bit of a strange one. And it does put you on a bit of a, oh, okay, how does this work? I played against Chaos Dwarfs, for example, literally the week they came out. Granted, it was against our reigning league champion as well, which was a double whammy. And that was like a similar scenario. You're just like, well, I don't know where I'm meant to be fielding my players here on the startup. How is this going to go? So yeah, I can see where you're coming from, and I agree on that they could be. It's one of those ones where you almost have to take your opponent's trust on how they perform, how they do, or you're just going back to your rule books and flicking through and going, what does very long legs do again? And what does Ogo do again? Can it work in this scenario? Yeah, I agree on that one.
Yeah. So they're difficult to play against anyway. They're almost impossible to play against if you've never done it before. So yeah, that's my argument.
I think there's a interesting wider point on this, and I think you're probably one of the perfect people to ask, because of your kind of connection to the NAF. It's kind of one of the main points is that it's like you said, it's the one exception that NAF insist on keeping, but GW clearly have no plans to kind of uphold and continue. So do you think the NAF should just generally be they should follow the rule set relatively to the letter? Because I know you sort of every now and again you get people talking about having like a NAF rule set, which I'm not sure I'm entirely in favor of because it's a whole new thing to learn. And like it should just generally, because NAF has spawned from the GW game, should it just try to remain closer generally?
I think there's a few different things to sort of try and unpack. So the stance on keeping close to the rule set, I very much agree with, right? So at its core, the NAF effectively is a database which records games that people have played, and then if you care enough, it gives you a number about how well you're doing, and you can show people if you've won tournaments and all this sort of thing, right? I used it recently to I've got like a database of our league games, and now I've sucked in the NAF data, so I know how well people do against each other. And like the first round of league games, I've gone, right, this person has played this person this many times, and overall there's been this sort of result. So at its core, that's what it is, and it should just facilitate people being able to find each other to play the game and record the game, and make sure tournament rule sets that they approve aren't too ridiculous. Obviously, Blood Bowl can have rule sets that do different things, like if you introduce a squig ball that runs away, or these sort of variants to make tournaments unique is totally fine. Quite a lot of it's within the rule set anyway. You pick out a bit from my Spike magazine or Death Zone or whatever, and just say, okay, we're going to theme our tournament around this. Some people just come up with stuff, custom star players, which I know you guys like doing, custom balls or custom weather tables or whatever, and it's all fine. It doesn't break the game inherently, and I think that's fine. If something, when it becomes unrecognizable as Blood Bowl, that's when they don't approve an event, basically. And I think that's a good stance. Where you're talking about like a NAF rule set or something similar, my understanding of when people have said something like that is it's not that they want that to apply to all events. It's that they want like a standardized thing where, okay, lizards are always tier 1, vampires are always tier 2, etc., etc. And then you can compare performance in events. So at the competitive event end, people would know that they're playing by a similar rule set in similar, all of these events, and it would be more of a fair comparison than the NAF Championships to our event, which is ogre themed. And one year the floor had Mighty Blow, so someone took an ogre team, you'd be breaking Alpha on a 6 or something, right? So obviously there's big differences. So it's partly to encourage, just have that standardization at the competitive end. But I think also some people have asked for like NAF tiering, which I don't think is maybe a great idea, but where effectively, if you're going to be tournament organizer for the first time, you can look at the Games Workshop rulebook and go, okay, these are the 3 tiers. But quite a lot of events have 5 tiers, or sometimes even up to 7 tiers, and maybe it's just the guidance of where you'd go with that. But I don't think they should be doing that as an organization. If you want advice on that, there's plenty of events you can just go and look at their rule set and you go, okay, right, so this event used these 7 tiers, we're going to stick with that, for example.
Okay. And one final point, if you're not including Slan, would you not include High Elf?
I'd include High Elves. They're Games Workshop published. I think that's fine.
Right.
I mean, fairly soon, hopefully they'll be official as well. They've only got 2 left. They've got to get to it at some point, right?
Yeah.
I think you've made some very valid points there. I don't think I can agree with you, just because I need them to exist for as long as possible to make Games Workshop make them.
Okay, fair enough.
That's the only argument I've got.
Yeah, I've heard that they're definitely not going to do them as a Slan team, because I've not played any other Games Workshop stuff. But my understanding is that now in the laws, Slan are just like these massive frog creatures who clearly wouldn't be able to play sport. But I'm, a reskin I'm totally fine with. And also I want to play them at some point so I can tick them off, having played all the teams. But I'm also in favour of them getting deleted. So yeah.
Okay.
I'm a contradiction.
Another very solid take. Well, we'll dive into the third and final hot take from you, Stuart. What is number 3?
Okay, this is much less serious and hopefully much less controversial.
Okay.
There should be a Ted Lasso style show about Blood Bowl.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Green lit straight away. Right, who do we know? Who can we contact?
Good point. Write a letter. I'm sure that's the way to do it. But obviously, Games Workshop is looking to get into telly. There's like the Henry Cavill stuff going on. I've also taken the liberty of casting it for them, or starting.
Okay, right.
At least in the Blood Bowl lore, I couldn't tell you the name of any actors because celebrities are just not. There's no space for that in my mind.
Fine.
But Ted Lasso would be Lord Boa Despoiler, because he's an agony uncle and he always wants to help everyone.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Rebecca Werton would be Gretchen Vetcher, the Blood Bowl widow. Obviously not technically a widow, but a divorcee, but it's the closest I could get.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Coach Beard probably be Eldril Signwider. He's got the hypnotic gaze. He's always like a bit out there.
He's got that glare. He's got that slight. Yeah. He's got that glare on him. Yeah.
Yeah. Nathan Shelley. No, I wasn't. There's 2 options on this one. It's either the Black Gobbo because he's sneaky.
Yeah.
Or Grom Brindle because he's giving out secrets to everyone else.
Okay.
Couldn't. Yeah.
I was thinking a small player, so I can see the Black Gobbo in there.
Yeah, cool. We'll go with that. Roy Kent is obviously Morgan Thorg, grizzled old Hardman veteran.
Yeah.
Jamie Tart would be Jordell Freshbreeze.
Okay.
Fancy show off, thinks the world revolves around him. Trent Krim from The Independent would be Mindy Pie Whistle from the Spike magazines.
Of course, yeah.
And then Danny Rojas, full of energy and enthusiasm. It's got to be Acorn the Squirrel.
Yeah.
So, There you go.
Yeah, I can't. I would love a Blood Bowl TV show. I would love it so. Because I feel like it would be. I think if you approached it in a Ted Lasso way and you were like a little bit tongue in cheek, but properly treating this like a sports
Hmm.
kind of TV show, treating it like an full on sport, all of that. I think it could be
So
really.
in that instance, what would be the team race?
That's a good question. So obviously, all of the players that I've mentioned would not play on the same team at the moment. So I guess you have to sort of take it slightly out of the board game world and more into the realistic world. So, if you have an English football team like, Man United or whoever, they're not made up of English players. They have players from everywhere. So similar sort of thing, right? So like an old world alliance or an underworld denizens team, something like that, where there's, it's open to all.
So okay, so could you then? Because I'm immediately, this is acting. Right. So would this team work then? Because I think the team that I'm now thinking of would make a good TV show focus as this new team coming in that no one else agrees with and they play a different way and all this sort of stuff would work perfectly for the narrative. If you had a Blood Bowl team where you could pick any positional from any team, but you can only ever have one once.
Mm-hmm.
So no like two war dancers to this, similar to kind of the old world where you've got like one blitzer and all that stuff. So you can only have one player, one positional, but it can be of one type, including linemen. So you can only have, if you want a chaos beast man, you can only have one. Would that team work? Would it be overpowered, or would it be rubbish?
It depends whether there's any restrictions on the players you can take in terms of like their value or something like that. So you stick a war dancer and a witch elf and a gutter runner and a werewolf on a team with assorted linemen, it's going to be a good team, right? So I think you probably want to have a cap somewhere, like maybe 70k, something like that. So you can't have players above that because otherwise it wouldn't be an underdog team.
Yeah.
Or would you have it? Would you do it that way, or would you have things like animosity for all and loner for all?
Maybe that could work. Yeah, there's
If it's a like heartwarming underdog family TV show, I feel like you start the season with animosity for all,
Animosity,
and then
and by the end of it, it's gone. You have like the reverse skill.
They've all got pro. They've all got pro and leader. Yeah.
So you can like you can earn SPP to pay to remove a skill, like as you go along.
Yeah, there's a fan created team somewhere, which is it's called like the Lineman's Guild or something like that, and it's literally you can have one lineman from each of the teams, and that's it.
That I like.
So 0 to 1 wood elf lineman, 0 to 1 dark elf lineman, 0 to 1 dwarf longbeard, etc. So maybe that's the team to go for.
I think that's the one, because you can, as the season goes on, you can just turn these linemen into star players. We did a mini all lineman sevens league where you could pick whatever team you wanted, but you could only field linemen. And the idea was to try and see whether by the end of the league, you had created your positionals from the linemen. It didn't really work that way. I took chaos chosen beastmen runners because I was like, okay, I'm blitzing on a 4 everywhere. But we did keep in the rule where they could get picked up from the big leagues, and you never got many skills before they were gone. And the teams that did the best took snotlings and always fielded 10 players and a giant on a 7s pitch. So it was absolute carnage. But I think yeah, for a Ted Lasso TV show about Blood Bowl, just linemen would be great.
Yeah.
Would be really great. What would be your let's treat it as 7, so we don't have to go through too
Okay.
many. But what would be your one? So you got one lineman from 7 teams. Your 7 line.
Okay. Wood Elf lineman, movement 7, pretty good. Probably Chaos Beastman, blitzing on a 4, perfect. Let's take a. That's a good question. Amazon line woman.
Yeah.
Strength 3 with dodge is pretty nice. Don't want any dwarfs, too slow. Oh, the hobgoblin. Let's take a goblin. Obviously, I can't not take a goblin after what I said earlier.
Yeah.
How many is that? That's 4.
That's 4.
You probably want another elf or 2, because I'd probably take a high elf lineman.
Okay.
I just want someone, a couple of players with ball handling skills. Let's take and you want the movement as well, so it rules out like undead teams, I think, and the other stunty teams. Let's take an Elven Union line. Elven Union and Dark Elf.
Okay.
4 elves. I mean it's try-harding, but yeah, there you go.
I quite like that.
Let's go with that.
Tom, what's your 7 lineman?
Probably Skink Runner in there.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a good
I can't believe I
shout.
got Skink.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
8.
Again, I would probably go with the Beastman Runner.
Yep.
So again, just with the horns, maybe Norse. So Norse lineman with a bit of block. So at least you've got something there.
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else would you go for though? I think a bit like yourself, a wood elf lineman. I'm just looking through the lists of these things and just wondering
I mean, I could have done that. I didn't even think about that. I was just gazing into the distance at my paint.
I don't have your encyclopedic knowledge on the team. That's a problem. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll probably stick a goblin in there just for kicks, and probably round it off with a couple of elves. Take your pick from Dark and the Union, probably. Yeah. Yourself, Chris?
Well, see, I've now had the I've had the luxury of coming up with ideas while I hear yours. So I think I'm going for an Amazon and a Norse. I think maybe there's there could be a romance storyline there within the show. I think then I'm going to get some chaos in there. I'm going to go for Khorne with Frenzy.
Yeah, that's nice.
We'll go for Khorne and we'll go for a Beastman as well. And then I think I'm gonna put a skink in there. I'm gonna put a gnome in there with wrestle
and jump. Oh, yeah.
And then I think I am gonna stick a dwarf in there with block tackle.
I mean, yeah, you've got a lot of skills. That's quite nice, isn't it?
It's a good selection.
From having played Chaos Chosen for a couple of seasons on tabletop, and then started a season online with them, to go from really skilled up players to beastmen with nothing is a massive drop, a massive shock, right? So yeah, linemen that start with skills is a good shout. You don't have the movement though, do you?
I've got one skink in there.
Yeah, okay.
Who's sort of holding the fort. Otherwise, they're a bit. I think it's protect the skink until they can make a break for it.
Yeah, I feel we should try and set this league up on like Fumble or something to see if whose team comes out best.
I think we need to add this to the list of playtests and maybe do a little. We could do a we'll figure out a New Dice Please versus Blood Bowl Tavern 7's lineman only random tournament one day.
Perfect.
And we'll get that booked in.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stuart, so much. For those are three.
No problem.
It started me panicking on those goblins, but those are three really great takes there. As always, hey, if you're listening and you've got some hot takes, or you've got an opinion on these hot takes, or anything else you want to tell us, Tom, you're on all the duties this week as Scott's not here. Where can people find us, and how do people get in touch?
Yeah, sure. So they can email us at newdiceplease@gmail.com. We really look forward to hearing from you on that platform. Equally, we're on Instagram at newdiceplease, and we're also on YouTube under Blood Bowl Live, where you can see as well as hear us. And as you've probably already listened to us already, we're on all the major podcast platforms as well, Google, Spotify, etc.
Perfect. And while you're listening to us on New Dice, please go and check out the Blood Bowl Tavern. It's up there on my. There's three podcasts for Blood Bowl that I'm subscribed to. One is my own because I'm really sad. The other ones are Blood Bowl Tavern and Channeled Fury. So please do check out Stuart over at Blood Bowl Tavern. It's really entertaining and a good one to listen to. Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you very much, Stuart. Thank you everybody for listening. We have been New Dice,
No
Please.
problem.
And we will see you next time.